What's up, guys? Hello, welcome to another video. And as always, I hope you're having just a fantastic week. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. And today I have a little devotional thought for you guys coming out of Hebrews chapter 11. And today we're going to talk a little bit just about faith and the idea of faith and applying faith in our lives. And so first I'm just going to read Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1, short and simple. But it's, now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. And the rest of this passage goes on to say that kind of faith, that is what the ancients were commended for. That is what the heroes of our faith were commended for. That is what Abraham and Noah and Enoch and Elijah, that's what some of the greatest people of our faith and the greatest people we see in our Bible, they were commended because they had great faith. And so faith in itself, the concept of faith, is not really a complicated thing. It's not hard to understand. Faith is, it's a pretty simple explanation right here. Faith is simply being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. The hard thing with faith is actually living that out and putting that into practice. And I just know personally for myself, sometimes I really struggle with this idea of faith because I like to have things figured out. I like to know that what I'm about to do is for sure the right thing, the right move, that what I'm about to do is not gonna be a mistake. If I'm about to do something, I like to think about every single possible outcome, every single thing I can possibly think of, and once I've exhausted every possible outcome and every possible what if or potential risk, and I still have found that it's a good idea, then I'll maybe consider doing that thing, or then maybe I'll consider believing in a certain belief once I've figured it out for myself, my own human mind, my own understanding. And oftentimes, honestly, I think I've really held myself back from being who God's called me to be, or being obedient to the Lord, or receiving what He has for me, because I have lacked faith, because I've needed reason and understanding to lead me more than my faith. And so I think that can be something just for us as humans. Faith can be a really hard thing to grasp and really hard thing to practice, because we like to have things figured out. We like to know for sure that what we're doing is right. But I believe that God constantly calls us to do things that we don't fully understand. I believe just God Himself is beyond human understanding. He moves in ways that we cannot fully grasp. We can't even fully see and understand. And He's asking us and calling us to live by faith. And to live by faith means sometimes we need to step out despite our lack of understanding, despite the possible outcomes that the possible failure, the possible negative that could come from something. We can always think of something that could possibly go wrong, or some reason why something might not be true. And if that's the case, I think we may just constantly keep ourselves from ever growing in our faith or stepping into what God has for us. But if we are willing to take that step of faith to say, I haven't seen for sure that this is true yet, or I don't know 100% for sure that this is going to work out, but I believe this is what God's saying to me, or I believe that this is what God's leading me to do, so I'm just going to take a step of faith and be obedient and do what He's calling me to do, or I'm just going to, in faith, believe that this is true. And I think once we do that, we will begin to see God move in ways we didn't even think were possible. We'll begin to see God meet us. And I just believe that God is so faithful when we are able to make a decision of faith. And despite our worries or our doubts, or, despite the possible risk involved, God is asking us to take a step and to live as if we know what He is calling us to do, or what He's speaking to us has already happened or is already true. Abraham, God gave him a son, a promised son, and God said, through this son, I'm going to fulfill my promises to you. I'm going to bless you and many nations through your son Isaac. And that was a promise God gave to Abraham. And then God goes and asks Abraham to sacrifice his son at an altar. And to our human understanding, that makes absolutely no sense at all. Why, first of all, why would God want me to give up my son? Why would he ask me to kill my son? That doesn't even make sense. But also, God, you said that this would be the way that you fulfill your promises in my life. You said this is the way that you're going to bless many nations through my son. And I'm sure in Abraham's reasoning, it probably didn't make a lot of sense. But despite all that, Abraham still said, you know what, but God, you are still God, and I'm still going to choose to trust in you and to have faith in you anyways, knowing that, God, you can do things that are greater than I can even understand or imagine. And so Abraham took that step of faith, and in the end, it worked out. Abraham didn't need to sacrifice his son. The Lord provided a ram to be sacrificed instead, and God still fulfilled his promises for Abraham through Isaac. And so sometimes in the moment, what God is calling us to do feels crazy. What God is speaking to us just seems just so bizarre and out there. Noah, for example, God called him to start building an ark before the rain was even there. And Noah, he could have, for all we know, he could have he had reason to say, you know what, God, that's crazy. Why would the earth flood? Why would there be 40 days of rain? But he chose to take God at his word and to go despite, it maybe seeming crazy, or despite what his reason, what conclusion he came to by reason. He chose to still build that ark anyways. And then when the rain finally did come, he was ready and he was prepared, and his family was saved. But that wouldn't have happened if he chose to just live by his reason and his understanding and what he saw just right in front of him. He had to choose to make a decision to have faith for something that he had not yet seen. He had to make a decision to be sure of something that he had not yet seen. And through faith, then Noah was provided for, and God was faithful to him and blessed him. And so sometimes, in order for us, I think, to step into what God has for us, we need to take a step of faith. I believe that God is looking for us to make decisions of faith, to live by faith. And if we're not willing to take that step of faith, I believe that we can miss out on a lot that God has for us. And so I just want to challenge, I feel challenged by this, and I just want to challenge you this week and even this year to make a decision to live by faith, to, maybe there's things that you feel like God is calling you to do right now, or that he's speaking to you, and it might not make a whole lot of sense right now, or, maybe it does seem scary. There is a chance that you could fail, but you'll never know if it's truly God until you take that step of faith. You can choose to live in fear if you want, but you may be missing out on some of the greatest blessings and some of the greatest just moves of God in your life. So let's choose to have faith this week. Let's choose to live by faith and not just by our reason or our own understanding. And I believe we will see God move and be so faithful in our lives as a result of that. God blesses those who are faithful to him. So that's all I have for you guys this week. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you for our next video.